Good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining us on early on Valentine's Day for the session to talk about the Hospitality and Travel Club. So my name's Luke Brennan. I'm a current second year here at Fuqua and one of the co-presidents of the club. And I'm excited to talk to you today and share a little bit about what we do in the Hospitality and Travel Club and share a little bit about what the recruiting process looks like in the hospitality and travel industries here at Fuqua. So to begin, maybe I'll share a little bit about my background and kind of how I got involved with the club. I had originally been working for a management consulting firm, but very interested in the hospitality industry and knew that I was coming to Fuqua wanting to explore something in the space for my summer internship. And so the second years, my year, were very supportive in both connecting us with alums, putting on some great events, and we'll share a little bit more about those here shortly, which allowed me to learn a lot more about the industry and deepen my knowledge to a level that I was credible during the recruiting process, and then ultimately ended up interviewing with several firms and spent the summer with MGM Resorts in Las Vegas. To talk a little bit about what the club has done in the past year, or what the priorities are for our club. Ultimately, hospitality and travel at Fuqua is a professional club, and so there's different kinds of clubs in the MBAA, but ultimately we're a professional club whose primary goal is to support recruiting. And so that takes many different forms. This year we had second year internship panel with all the second years that interned in the industry when they came back over to talk about their summer experiences and what recruiting with their companies would look like full time. We have a club member this year who's worked to create a club-specific database of hospitality and travel alumni so that people know not just who is currently at hospitality and travel firms, but who has been in the past, who has been very supportive of students reaching out, who is open to kind of conversations, whether they're for recruiting or just gaining knowledge in the future. In addition here, we also did a number of interview prep sessions this year. So we had some of the airlines help prepare materials in advance of their interviews and come and present those, as well as provided a little bit of one-on-one coaching with folks that were interested, who wanted to learn more about airline interview, the case interviews that the airlines do. Now, in addition to us being a professional club, we also are probably one of the a club that puts on some of the most, I would argue, interesting events at Fuqua that appeal to people outside of those who are recruiting in these industries. And so to that, and we also kind of try to promote and foster industry interest and education. And so some of the marquee events here are a behind-the-scenes tour that we did in the fall at Charlotte Airport with American Airlines, where we spent the day at their training facility, going behind the scenes, seeing their maintenance operation, their simulator and training operation, and then also getting to spend time at the airport behind the scenes out on the tarmac and seeing how the operations work there. This was a great opportunity for folks who were interested in careers in the airline industry to kind of see things on the ground at a major hub and see what roles exist in the field for folks with an MBA, but also was a great behind-the-scenes look at how airports and travel works in the U.S. For folks that just travel frequently and are interested in that behind-the-scenes look. Similarly, we're excited this spring to go back to Raleigh-Durham Airport for a similar tour, and also are excited for an annual event that we do over at the JB Duke, which is the hotel that's attached to the Fuqua School here, where we do a behind-the-scenes tour and are hoping to spend some time afterwards connecting with management and talking about kind of what it looks like at the hotel level for what they do for running the business here in kind of the unique environment where there's kind of a captive audience of people coming to Duke who are the primary guests there at the hotel. In addition to those, to recruiting and fostering kind of industry interest and education, I think the third main thing that our club does is also up the fun route that appeals broadly to a ton of folks at Fuqua, and that's just promote travel in general. And so we've had some pretty successful, I would argue successful, Instagram competitions over breaks promoting travel, where you can check those out on Instagram with the hashtag Fuqua Travels hashtag, and see folks from Fuqua who've traveled all over the world and use the hashtag, and then the club has promoted, has given away or sponsored prizes for things like the Fuquan who travels the furthest from the school over a break, or the most members of Team Fuqua in a photo somewhere outside North America over the break. And so it's a fun way to get other folks at school to engage with the club as well. Feel free also at any point in time, if you've got questions, to send those along. We've got an hour this morning if there are questions, and I'm happy to fill it with kind of my thoughts and things that I've enjoyed doing it with the club and learned this year, but I definitely want to make sure that questions are addressed. So I think one of the things also that is worth touching on related to recruiting is talking a little bit about what's on campus versus off campus related to hospitality and travel. And so I think a lot of clubs at Fuqua are intimately connected with firms that spend a lot of their recruiting effort and time on campus. And so you've obviously got consulting club, and all the consulting firms come to Fuqua. But I think here for hospitality and travel, we're a little bit unique in that we have very close partnerships with the airlines who spend a lot of time coming to campus and participate in on-campus recruiting. And so the club partners with them to make sure that folks are ready for their interviews in the airline industry and sponsors events there. But outside the airlines, we really serve more as a liaison to connecting folks with alums from companies that aren't recruiting on campus, or with outside of alumni with kind of the recruiting folks at these firms. And so with companies that don't recruit on campus, there's opportunities to bring in folks for lunch and learns and have lunch with a speaker from a company and kind of probe them on what recruiting in their industry or with their company looks like there. But also that database that Bill in the club has put together is meant to serve as kind of an invaluable resource going forward to know who's worth reaching out to and who's been kind of great contacts to connect with related to off-campus recruiting. And so for my own recruiting process, went through and spoke with the airlines when they were here last year. But in addition to that, I had phone calls with probably 15 to 20 Fuqua alums who were working in the industry. I think one of the coolest things about Team Fuqua is the fact that it doesn't end when you're when you leave Fuqua after graduation, and there really did seem to be a genuine interest from folks to kind of give back and support me in the recruiting process and journey as I explored what aspect of hospitality and travel was most interesting and made the most sense for me to participate in from a professional or career standpoint. And so ended up speaking with 15 or 20 folks, and it was actually a woman in Las Vegas who I spoke with on one of the first calls that I did, where I didn't even know what the opportunities looked like in the gaming industry for folks from coming with an MBA or with a non-hospitality background, but before coming to school. And I think we had a great half-hour call where she kind of gave me the industry primer, the 101 of things that I needed to know to sound intelligent, speaking with other folks from her company and in the industry going forward. And after that, we had a great call, and she ended up taking my resume and passing it on to her boss and other folks at their company, which resulted in several more phone calls and more interest on their part. And so I think that it is definitely an industry that is there certainly are easier industries to recruit at on campus from the sense that they're coming here and doing some more of the legwork for you. But I think that the Team Fuqua community that is in the industry is more than willing to give back and does make it pretty easy to do the off-campus or remote recruiting in the industry. The CMC also is a good resource in terms of kind of supporting you along that journey. I think that when I was meeting with my CMC advisor, what would go in the conversations would be like, it's November, December, nobody's even posted applications yet. Am I doing something wrong? A lot of my friends, spent a lot of time already liaising with companies and applied and are starting to hear back about interviews. And they were a great resource in terms of kind of outlining what the timeline had looked like for folks in the past. And then just kind of being supportive of the fact that it is kind of an untraditional industry or opportunity to recruit from straight out of your MBA, and the opportunities appear and disappear kind of pretty quickly. And so just had to be open-minded about that and be ready to jump in whenever kind of an opportunity arose. So with some companies, application would go up, you'd apply, hear about an interview, final interview, and the whole thing could be over within a week. Whereas with other employers, as they're moving through the process and are larger and less familiar with kind of recruiting in this setting, time from application drop to final interview or offer could be 2, 3, 4 months. And so having the CMC there to kind of guide me through that process, and then I think other members of the club who've similarly had to wait a while before kind of landing their dream internship in the industry a lot later than other industries. It's been a great benefit. So I think another Another question that we often get in the club is whether or not there's kind of an opportunity to do like weekend cities trips, or to go and visit companies in their corporate headquarters locations. And so folks interested in coming are probably familiar with the fact that several other clubs take trips to different schools, or rather to different companies, as part of the recruiting process in the fall, to get to see what things are like on the ground, or probe a little bit more what day-to-day life looks like, and kind of there at the headquarters in that setting. And so while the major companies in this industry are not so central that the club sponsors its own weekend cities, where you have airlines, hotels, gaming, cruise ships are spread, across the country in terms of corporate headquarters location. We did have some successful partnerships this fall with other clubs, and so we have worked with the companies that we have close relationships with to create opportunities for folks that are interested in visiting headquarters to be able to on other weekend cities trips. And so this year, folks that were in Dallas had the opportunity to go to the American Airlines headquarters, their current headquarters, and see plans for their new headquarters. And we've had similar success in Atlanta before, with folks who are there for other weekend cities trips, going and visiting Delta at their headquarters. And so I think the club has, while we haven't been able to put together our own trip at this point, it's been something that we've talked a lot about doing. That is something I think that we are excited to be able to partner with other clubs to offer opportunities like that. If folks have been watching other videos, I'm sure folks that the panelists have talked about the importance of clubs partnering and doing things with other clubs. And an example of that that we're also doing in a couple weeks, the opportunity just came up yesterday, is we'll be partnering with the cocktail club, or the spirits club, to do some distillery tours here in Durham. And so it's a kind of an opportunity for folks who are interested in kind of the hospitality or service industry aspect of those operations to go and see that, in combination with folks that are more interested in the drinks or the cocktail side of the experience. And so that's one example of a partnership that we've got coming up. And I think that those are kind of a great way to get other folks that aren't maybe interested professionally in the industry to get them to learn a little bit more about it, and also engage with it, since they'll be recruiting, or since they'll be engaging with these types of companies a lot going forward. I think one of the last things I kind of speak about here, and then open it up to final questions, is the kind of opportunity with the club to get involved and kind of add your own flavor or spice or ideas going forward. And so we're really excited. We are doing elections right now for some new for our new co-president pair, who will be announced on Friday. And as we were sitting with them this week, talking about the club next year and kind of their vision for it, you really saw that there's a lot of opportunity for folks, that are interested in the industry or in the club to get involved and do things that we haven't done in the past, and to kind of carve their own path forward and start some new traditional or annual events for the club. And so the Charlotte Airport Tour has only been around for 2 years, but I'd say is one of the highlights of what we do, and has a long waiting list every year. And some of the things that the new co-presidents are talking about for next year, I think are equally exciting, and will take the club kind of in a direction that's even better than kind of the opportunities that we had here. So I think if you're coming to Fuqua and interested in the industry, I'm confident that you'll be in good hands with the new co-presidents, and also confident that there are a lot of opportunities to get involved right away, and start planning events or doing things in the industry right on day one when you arrive. I think with that, I'll open it up. If there's any kind of final questions, happy to take those here. Take a minute and see if those pop up. And otherwise, we'll wish everyone a happy Valentine's Day, and feel free to reach out to the club through the admissions office if there are any additional questions that someone could help to address going forward. Okay, doesn't look like we've got any more questions here, and so with that, I'll say thanks, and looking forward to hopefully having a few more people or many more people interested in hospitality and travel here at Fuqua in the future.